Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. November 21, 2019, the 5 Million Chickens edition. First up, a British Airways, ex-British Airways executive took $5 million in bribes in a pay-to-play scheme. The bribes were paid by a contractor to Stephen Clark, who took monthly bribes from the CEO of a company called Ground Services International for 5 years in exchange for getting his company to work with BA at Terminal 7 of JFK Airport. The charges were brought in the United States, so it's not under the Bribery Act, but it'd be interesting to see if the BA executive is also charged under the Bribery Act. So here we have a fraud that occurs far too often, but perhaps doesn't get enough play. It's where company employees are bribed to give contracts to subcontractors. In the Department of Justice announced charges yesterday against the former Braskem CEO. If listeners to this podcast will certainly be familiar with the name of Braskem, which was owned by Odebrecht and was part of the huge Odebrecht settlement, FCPA settlement from December 2016, where Braskem pled guilty to bribing officials around the world. Where here we have the ex-CEO of Braskem indicted individually for his personal involvement in the bribery scheme. His involvement included setting up of shell corporations to pay money into from Braskem to set up a pool of money to pay bribes on behalf of both Braskem and Odebrecht. We have the actual payment of bribes by the CEO. We have FCPA books and records violations. We have false certifications by the CEO on American depository receipt sheets. And finally, we have money laundering. So pretty stunning charges against the CEO. It's going to be very interesting to see where this goes. It's pretty difficult to understand how the CEO could defend against these charges, given the plethora of evidence against Braskem and Odebrecht. The next case comes, the news item comes in the Mozambique tuna boat trial that's going on. This is a case where allegedly corrupt individuals, got the Mozambique government to float $2 billion of bonds that the money could be stolen. Bankers from Credit Suisse took bribes to facilitate this. And the trial involves a gentleman named Jean Boustani, who's on trial for his role in this and his company's role, Privinvest. The title of today's episode, 50 Million Chickens, comes from his testimony on the stand on this case. He basically admitted paying bribes, but he called it tangoing with the Mozambicans. And at one point, the president, he alleged the president of Mozambique requested 50 million chickens for arranging the project's funding. Boustani testified he knew it wasn't chickens and it was all about money and it was paid a bribe. And that Boustani admitted on the stand that it was that 8.5 million was paid. So it really is interesting that here in the Boustani case involving the Mozambique tuna boat fraud, together with Hoskins, which was the Alstom corruption case. Both of the defendants admitted paying bribes. They have had other defenses that they claim will protect them, but paying bribes. And finally, a short note on the Harriet Tubman movie. When the movie was first pitched, it was reported that Julia Roberts was suggested for the role of Harriet Tubman. Anyone who knows Julia Roberts knows that she does not look like Harriet Tubman. It would have been a disaster. Thanks for listening to the Daily Compliance News, a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio.